There was a delayed reaction. I thought it was recording.
Yeah. Good
Good
morning.
morning. I'm gonna introduce myself, and then I'm gonna go grab a glorified cookie because I didn't have enough to eat this morning. Hi, welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Dear Becky and Lizzie edition.
So you were like, now it
Yeah.
makes sense. When we were outside the shop yesterday, it didn't make sense. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I am the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Pea Soup Foggy, Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
I need food.
Yeah. Well, Yay.
I don't know. Okay, so glorified cookie. This Jupiter crop, which I didn't crop, needs to be even more uncropped, but it's done now. Too late. So, this again, Caitlyn Hunters Jupiter crop. I do love it. It is I made it out of Patagonia. And someone emailed me, and I emailed her back about the colors in this. It's violet. It's a dark purple for the background. And then the other colors are thistle. I'm forgetting what the aqua color is right now, and then wasabi and mustard. Aquamarine, I think this one is. So nice, vibrant colors with the dark background. We are a little pressed for time because we have a little less than half an hour, and lots of questions because I got in late today. Sleep has been weird lately. Yeah, shock face, I know, but even later than usual. I'm sorry. I want to partially blame our little dirty white squirrel in the back parking lot because I didn't want to take out a white squirrel to get here. Yes, they do exist. What is it? Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. There are white squirrels in town. And I say little grubby one. Liz thinks that it like lives past the construction.
It lives past an area where they've torn up all the grass and there's now nothing but red dirt. So it's a white squirrel with red dirt halo.
With a ruddy complexion.
Yes. It is a dirty little white squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
She's so cute though. And she comes up on the patio looking in the planters for
foraging.
Yeah.
She's chased off a gray squirrel the other day.
Yeah.
She's like, So we think she has babies somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story long. I'm wasting time. But we have lots of questions. I'm not sure what we're going to get to. We also got we're starting to get letters again, which is really lovely. I think this was just a thank you. It wasn't necessarily a question, but it was so heartwarming. I want to write this woman back. Shout out to Deb. I definitely want to write her back, but she says she feels like we're her friends, and that is like one of the greatest compliments we could get. Absolutely. And that her grandson knows the phrases we say. And so it's just,
and knows the shop phone number, unlike me, who says it every day and can't figure out how to get into Zoom.
So Deb, I'm gonna try to write you back because this was it really, like, it sounds cliche, but it totally warmed my heart to get this. Liz has already pulled up stuff.
I've pulled up.
Can I make a really quick announcement about the t-shirts?
Yeah, go ahead.
First, I'm not wearing one because I only took one of each color, and they're dirty now. I have to launder them. But we've had multiple questions about size, right?
Yes.
And people concerned about what size to get because I said I had to go up a size. And here's my deal on that. Like, the shirt I'm wearing now is one of the old ones that's 100% cotton. That was a large, and like the length of it now, I'm like, the extra large in the new poly blend is a lot longer than this. Like, it's a jump in sizes. But I went and looked at, and this one's also been laundered for like 2 years now. I went and looked at the size chart, and technically for my bust, I'm like a 44. For my bust, I should still be in a large, but my cup size, the girls are big. The rest of me is not as big as the girls. I think since they're men's unisex sizes, if you have curves, you might need to go up a size. Is what I would caution.
I had you get me some 3X ones.
Mm-hmm. Because we could special order for y'all too, but you'd have to wait until we place our next order.
So from here up, I could wear a large because I fit within the 44 chest large. Here, not so much.
Well, and the reason I couldn't necessarily is especially with the hot print design on it.
Yep.
That pulls the shirt just a little, in that the flexibility a shirt would normally have around the girls, it doesn't have quite as much flexibility. It's a slightly different print design, print process than our first ones. And so that means what I would caution is if you are above a C cup, and I haven't tested this, I'm way above a C cup, but your bra, if it's for your frame and your band size, if you're above a C cup, you may want to err on the side of caution and get a slightly bigger size so you are comfier in it.
Also, we were talking about this. Measure the biggest part of your chest.
Yes.
Not like with
the
sweater.
Biggest part of your torso.
Yes.
Because that might not be your chest. Yeah. That's the thing.
With sweater construction, with buying t-shirts, especially unisex t-shirts that are designed like
they're designed for flat people, not busty people or men. More unisex is really a men's cut, right? And so some women have a manly shape, and that's fine. And I'm not saying that in like in a bad way. They don't have as many curves. The large and the poly blend, since it's so soft, was just clinging to my curves in the large. And so I went up a size. But there is, I can try to put the link in because I've put it into a couple of emails. There is a link for the sizing chart, but again, that's for someone who has a body that more just does this. So, factor that into it. The shirts are online. They're $26 a piece, and we have them in all different sizes, in the mustard and the blue, and they're fantastic. And we highly recommend them. And we recommend using Brevard screen printing, especially if you're local. But I think she takes more than just local orders. She will work with people from afar if you have a t-shirt order. So anyway, let's move to the now that you're all enmeshed in your knitting, let's try to answer a couple questions.
It's garter. I can put it down.
I should do that after my glorified cookie's over, so I can make progress on something.
I will be reading these in the order that they were received. So
wasn't one of the first ones like multiple questions though? We might not attack all of them. I don't know.
Yes, that was the second one, but the first one we got like Wednesday night, Thursday morning,
and I'm like, we're wasting time. Go. I'm fine. Go. We'll get to it next week. Good.
Hi, Liz. Is there any difference between hand-dyed and indie-dyed yarns, or are these terms used interchangeably? Thanks in advance. Love watching you both, Deb P.
Okay.
Yes.
So hand-dyed and indie-dyed. Here's what I would say is like umbrella category and subcategories is how I would define it, right? Hand-dyed, there's a whole bunch of yarns and big, huge companies and small production dyeing in their basement people. There's all these people who could be considered hand dyed, in that even if it is maybe a little machine dyed, but like it has a more unique look to it. And hand dyed usually means that it wasn't done by a machine. I feel like there's some bigger batch companies that have been able to replicate it. Maybe they are using machines, but there'll be inconsistencies to it. There'll be, a lot of Malabrigo, a lot of like our fiber spates. I would consider that a hand-dyed yarn, even if it's a big company doing it, because it's not just like, this is not hand-dyed. These guys here, these super solid ones made by big companies, I wouldn't call these hand-dyed. But the difference between hand-dyed and indie-dyed, or the subcategory, like, I would put this into a hand-dyed category, even though a big company made it, because there's this tonality, there's all this funky stuff going on in it. And even if it wasn't done like by someone just actually throwing the dye into a pot, with the yarn, it's meant to look like that. The feeder brook, I would say hand dyed. She might have some machine processing, but it's got a more unique quality to it. And then we've got like Yarn Baby and Daydream Dye Works and some of theirs. Like I would classify both of these as hand dyed, but this one is indie dyed. like independent dyer.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say most of the hand dyed would be indie dyed, but not all of the hand dyes are, you know, indie dyers.
So it's like all indie dyers yarn is hand dyed.
Yes.
But not all hand dyed yarn is indie dyed.
Yeah.
When we say indie, and we've had people be like, does that mean it's in India, or does that mean, you know, indie is short for independent, small business, small batch, like a small company, like one that's in between. But I would still maybe put class. I mean, I'd have trouble where to classify this one. Are these two? Let's see. Oh, okay. Lorna's Laces and Neighborhood Fiber Company. Now, no, Lorna's Laces is no longer in existence. Neighborhood Fiber Company is. These are both hand-dyed yarns. I would classify.
I would class them both as indie dyed because they're super small.
They're
on the production scale. They are still smaller than like one of the big corporations. Like, yeah.
Which is why I'd put them, like, if we're doing a Venn diagram or something like that, they'd be on the border of the indie dyers because they are not a big, huge company like Cascade or Plymouth or Barocco or one of those. Barocco's trying to do some attempt at like faux indie dyeing or hand dyed or something that might look like indie dyed speckled, but it's much more consistent. And one of the things about these is sometimes it's inconsistent. So they're not like a big, huge company, but they're also not someone making yarn in their basement.
Yeah.
They're in the middle, but it's still unique enough that I would probably put it in the indie dyed category. It's just, you're going to find it in more places.
And I would say they probably started out in their basement, or
probably,
like,
yes, absolutely.
Emma's yarn we hear about. It's everywhere, but it was started in their basement garage. Like, it was,
and it still has the indie dyed flavor to it. Of feeling like you're getting something super unique, even though even Fiber Space is still on that border of, they're not a massive company, but you get the feel of it. And honestly, that's why some people like Malabrigo so much, is it's got the look of something that was indie dyed, but it's more cost effective because they can do it on a bigger scale. Although sometimes that means even with the same dye lot, it's nowhere near close, like one skein to the next. So some are more consistent than others. So I hope that helps. It's like, it's kind of like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. It's like, yes, big category, subcategory. That's why we've got both listed on our website. We've got the hand dyed, and then we have subcategories of indie dyed and locally dyed, because these guys aren't local, but they're unique, especially Yarn Baby. So
I am going to make a decision to save one of our frequent flyers. She's got several questions, and we can answer those when we have more time next week.
I'm just gonna say shout out to Barbara. Thank you so much.
We're
gonna keep it so when we don't have questions, we can refer to it. So next, we're gonna try to ignore the phone right now because we still have 15 minutes.
Next question. This is real easy, although I will let Rebecca riff for a second on this one. Liz, yes, this is a question. Can you encourage Becky to do tips and tricks for the Fading Diamonds cardigan she wears? I found the pattern and it starts differently enough. I'm doubting myself. Pretty please. I just love the cardigan. Thank you. Full-fledged pillaging Viking.
Okay, so here's the thing on, like, I have a lot of people requesting that they want special videos on the pattern they're working on, and it could be a pattern I'm working on. And the Ranunculus was like this special golden Easter egg of, I could do the I could do the videos and not feel like I was infringing on the pattern, and as far as I know, the pattern writer didn't get mad at me, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. And I did the videos while I was making the sweater, because it was our knit along. I was doing a new one. For a lot of patterns, that's really hard to do without crossing the line where I am people might be worried. I'm sure it's picking me up. I'm really loud.
You're fine.
But picking me like I'm crossing the line where people think it's my pattern. And I'm not about to make another Fading Diamonds cardigan. What I would say for this, for the person who's asking this, is let's get more specific of what part of it is the challenge that you would really like to see a video on, rather than just do it on the whole thing, because then maybe you'll hit the thing that I'm having problems with. If I know, I want to say, I only vaguely remember, but I want to say it might start with a collar that goes this way, and then you have to pick up stitches along the edge. If that's what is concerning you, I might be able to do a video on that skill, because that is in a lot of different shawls and cardigans and things like that. So specificity helps me to make a video on a skill or a technique rather than a whole pattern. And because that can get dangerous.
And the hardest thing with doing videos, you know, like you're talking about, is there are a lot of designers who publish their work and then people are stealing it. Yeah. So, and saying
that's even happened to Marin,
yeah,
who did the butterfly. And I don't want to even skirt close to that territory. Like the I almost said sit and sit. The knit alongs we do now and crochet alongs, it's I try to keep it really specific to skills, or I try to check in with the pattern writers. My energy levels have been like put on that lately, to get permission. And I've had some pattern writers who I didn't check with be like, what are you doing? And I've had some pattern writers who I did check with said, please don't make a video about this part, because that's specific to my pattern. And I already have a video. Whether or not my video would be the same as hers, I fully respect that I might be either misrepresenting, or people might get the wrong message from mine of thinking that I made it up. I try to be really clear in my videos that that's not what I'm doing. But I don't want to take away from all the hard work that they have done, because I don't write patterns and I'm not about to. And I don't want to be seen as stealing anything from anybody. I fully believe in buy the pattern, download the pattern, visit the websites, get them the credit and the recognition they deserve. Yep. So,
next question.
I want to bring the bell back in and be like, ding, ding. Moving on. Yes.
Dear Becky and Liz, what are the pros and cons of using 2 different weights of yarn in the same project? For example, color A is fingering and color B is worsted. Love you guys, North Carolina Finger Ninja.
So I lost track. 2 different weights of yarn in the same pattern, pros and cons. Okay. Do you want to say something?
I can say something. It is entirely doable. I've done shawls with like multiple, like picked one from every category weights of yarn. Use a needle that's going to work on the thickest is the biggest thing. There are patterns that call for 2 different size needles, which is another, you know,
this
can change the look
changes
of everything
drastically depending on what you're making.
Yeah.
Like how we would answer this, I feel like partially. Like if it's something that's designed for 2 different thicknesses, hopefully the pattern writer has already taken that into account. Like I want to say was it pressed flowers might need 2 different thicknesses of yarn anyway. If you're trying to change a pattern that wasn't written for 2 thicknesses of yarn, but you have 2 different things you want to use, that also depends on what you're making. Like a shawl, biggest needle, awesome. A sweater, you got to worry about gauge. And again, the same thing though, I would try to make sure you're getting gauge with the biggest yarn, because that's going to impact it the most. The thinner yarn might be able to like drape in between stuff. Like Andrea Mowry's written things for 2 different thicknesses. So the pro is it's doable and it can look really cool. You can have like see-through parts and not see-through parts. And a con could be like if you go with a needle that doesn't work for the thicker yarn, it's going to get all bunched up. Or if you wanted to have a cohesive look, but the 2 yarns you want to use are different thicknesses, it may not have a cohesive look anymore. So it depends on like what you're hoping for in the end. I shout out to Alexia. She used like a fingering in a sport, or a sport and a DK for something, because she just loved the colors and it worked, but you were taking a chance. So it really is. We jokingly say that in the shop that some yarns play well together, even if they're not this, like using two different yarns. I'm just waving around my cable needle. I don't know. That some different yarns will play well together, but often what we mean by that is they're really close to the same thickness, or they're like Pacific Sport and Cherub Aaron, they are different thicknesses, but they have similar fiber content, and so it's really okay.
And I've done papillons that are several different weights. Throw it on a 9 and everything from worsted down is gonna work. But some of the bubbles are gonna look thinner than other parts just because of the fibers.
The textures of the two yarns will be different, and that will happen if you use yarns that are the same general category of thickness, but different fibers. So even within using two different worsted weights, you could get different things happening in different sections, because one's a heavy worsted and one's a thin worsted. And I think our white squirrel's up on the plaza again. Just saw something go by. Anyway, and or one is a cotton and one is a wool. And so lots of things are going to change stuff. And honestly, I would do a test. I would do a little swatch with the two colors in the way they might be used in the pattern to see if you like it before you invest like a whole lot of work and then say this looks like poop. So that's me.
It works well for scrappy yarn. Like if you're doing a scrappy something and you don't, care as much. I mean, it's
if you're not as invested in it looking a certain way.
Yeah. If you want it to look scrappy,
you could be pleasantly surprised.
Will be, yeah.
So do we,
and
we have like what?
We have
5 minutes.
We have one more, but I think we're going to wrap up because we don't know if we're going to get an early
drop-in help today.
Drop-in help. We know that there's a possibility.
If you've written us, Liz has it. And yeah, she's right there. I'm watching the white squirrel. She's running. She's stealing from the potted plants across the way and making a run for it. So we've gotten your emails, and I've heard we have at least one card coming our way. We will get to them. And we have 2 emails left from. So, and you can always send us more stuff, even if you're like, oh, they have enough for next week. If you have a question, send it. Liz keeps them all so we can get through them, and hopefully has a way to mark off what we've talked about and what we haven't. I try. And what was I gonna say? So we're filming on a Friday today instead of a Thursday, because if you watched our little brief announcement yesterday, I had a doctor's appointment. I'm fine. It's all good. It was regular routine stuff. But it meant we couldn't film yesterday. And I totally forgot on Wednesday that I should tell you all that. I think I even talked about like Thursday was going to happen. I can't keep my days of the week straight right now. This is another reason to stop talking and go up in the shop. Since it is Friday, we do have knit night tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. on Zoom. Use the shop phone number to get in. 828-877-3550. And our Sunday sit and stitch is not this Sunday. It is a week from Sunday. So we will see you all next Tuesday. I have all kinds of things I've been working on this week. I have not started a gnome yet. Technically, for local people, it is a knitting gnome drop-in session tomorrow morning. I haven't even started anything yet. I should probably pick some stuff out and start, and we shall see. So, comment, subscribe, like, ring the bell, Patreon, all the fun stuff. Yes. And we will see you next week.